Once you set up a democracy, as I said earlier, then they were going to pay, bribe, subsidize people to participate. They did it to such a degree that Aristotle in his Politics wrote something quite stunning at one point. He said, demos means people, krasi means rule, rule of the people. It's not the rule of the people, it's the rule of the poor people, if you really think about it. And what he meant by that is that when you have democracies, poor people run things. Not just people, not just a majority, poor people through the legislative, judicial, executive efforts to take money from some and give it to others. The Athenians really did believe they could bring people up out of poverty by taking money from someone else. And they were quite successful, at least for a while. Now, that's their defense of democracy. What was the right-wing harangue against democracy? Or what is it today? Well, the main one, of course, is that we're not all equal. Sorry that we're not all of the same IQ. We're not all good-looking, or we're not all ugly, we're not all lame, we're not all able-bodied. So we start out with different abilities. So the democratic idea that if every one of you is going to get 10 acres and some olive trees, in about 30 years, half of you aren't going to have them. Because some of you aren't going to get up in the morning because you're lazy, you're no damn good. Others are going to be very unlucky. You're going to fall off the olive tree and break your leg, and that's it in the ancient world. Others are going to think, you know what, I'd rather make pots and lay around all day in this city, so I'm going to sell mine. So inequality will begin very quickly because some will buy others out, and that's what happens. So why not recognize it under an oligarchy? That people who have shown the initiative should be able to have more prestige. It's almost like saying, if you were a right-wing oligarch, and believe me, I think I can be fair to an anonymous author called the Old Oligarch that wrote 440 BC. I think I can be fair to him in how he would appraise Freddie and Fannie. He would say this, oh, you can make up your Freddie and Fannie all you want. You can lower your interest rates all you want. But believe me, Mr. Hanson, there are people by birth, our attitude, our culture, our habit, who are not up to owning property. They are renters, period. Now, you can say they're homeowners, and you can print a bunch of money, give them a lot of low interest, guarantee their loans, but they're going to collapse your system. That's what he said, basically that. In other words, the right-wing critique of democracy is that it's a lie. That when you want to radically make everybody equal when they are not, it requires two things: the loss of individual liberty and a degree of coercion that's not acceptable within a civilized society. And that's continually the critique. If you read Thucydides, he says, Athens was the most powerful city-state. After every setback, they could recuperate because they got everybody involved. That's what's good about a democracy. But he said they will continue to get themselves in jams because when they get into the assembly, every elegant speaker, every aristocratic wealthy person, every skilled person will cause envy and jealousy, and he will offend the mass, and they will shout him down eventually, and then they are fickle. That's a very good word, an English translation of a lot of Greek words, by meaning they will change from one idea to the other because they're not guided by senior sober statesmen and they don't follow a constitutional law. Where most of the ancient world thought they wanted to be constitutional but have checks on popular sovereignty. They didn't trust the people to have absolute power. And that left a legacy in Western civilization of constitutional states, but no one really wanted to be radically democratic. And when it was tried during the French Revolution or some periods in American history, people get very frightened of it. And part of the reason is they read the great books and look at what admittedly aristocratic authors said about Athens.